Welcome to the Parish the Thought Show. The opinions of Brian, your host, and his guests have not been sanitized or scientifically tested, so please consume at your own risk. Now, here's Brian.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else is listening, welcome back to the program. My special guests this evening are Laney and Bridgette Casey. And about a year ago, actually next week, it'll be a year, I interviewed your mom and dad because your dad had neuroendocrine cancer, which is something I'd never even heard of until he had it, and the whole story and how it practically took him and just the fear and the worry behind that. I had your mom and dad for 2.5 hours last year telling their story. So I thought it would be awesome to have you two share what that whole experience was like for you and the fear of losing him and what that. So it's your story. You can tell as much or as little as you want, but don't do too little. We want to have some actual new content here, but welcome, ladies. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us. You want to start?
So I assume it was different for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me when you found out or how you found out and what that did to you and the fears and the worries and the faith and all the lovely things that come with a crisis like this.
Yeah, I'll start just because I feel like we both had very different experiences. For me, I had just moved to college like 5 hours away in St. George, like when he first got diagnosed, and we had no idea until like my parents came down for, I think it was my fall break, and I was gonna go up there, but then they're like, oh no, like we'll go down there, whatever. And then we were in their hotel room, and I think that's when my mom and dad got the like original call that he got diagnosed, or like his lab results had been updated or something. And so that was like very stressful for them, and they just like they were kind of off that trip, but I didn't really think much of it because I didn't see them for very long. Then I go about college, whatever, and end up finding out he has cancer because my mom calls me, tells me. And it was really hard being away from my family during that whole thing, just because like my dad is my best friend. Like we are the same person in so many ways. Like it's probably bad.
Kind of creepy and good at the same time.
Yeah, like our humors are the same. We process things the same. Like we cope the same, which is also
another story.
Yeah, but so I kind of find out, and then it was kind of hard just being away from them, and especially her, because I feel like when it comes to like me and her relationship, like I'm very protective over her and like how she processes things. So like I was more worried about her, and then I ended up moving home and like helping them all deal with it. And then it was like fine, I guess, until like because I didn't really I still have kind of avoided it. Like I haven't really accepted the fact that he even has it. Because me and him make very dark jokes about it.
As you should.
Like, I'm sure you've heard my dad's humor in it,
yes.
But yeah, no, me and him are very much the same when it comes to that. But then when he got like the kidney failure or whatever, when he went to the ICU the first time, that one was really hard because no one really like I don't even know. No one really like understands the fear. Oh, getting like choked up.
It's okay.
Until you're like in it. Oh. But I don't really cry, so it's like weird.
It's okay. It's not weird. It's normal. This is why I wanted you on. So people could hear what it was like for you two. And before you go on, what's the age difference between you two?
We're 6 years apart. So I'm 21 and she's
15.
Yeah, 15.
Okay.
So it's a big gap, but I don't know. I feel like we've gotten through it well.
Yeah.
But when my dad first got to the hospital, I was about to go into because I was starting college again because I'd moved home, whatever. Then I was about to go back into college, and like 2 weeks before college started, I think so, the beginning of August, we started taking him like during my birthday. He was so sick because my birthday's at the end of July. So like during my birthday, he couldn't even like get up to go to breakfast or dinner or like lunch. Like he made it out to like dinner, but he was just so uncomfortable. And then like we went to dessert and he just like he like couldn't like really stand or walk. Like my mom was driving. Like it just was like really hard to like see him like that on my birthday too.
Way
And I
to
was
go,
like,
Dad. Come on.
I know, I'm like, I don't want to see him like be like so upset on my birthday. Like that's so sad. Because I know he's trying so hard to like be so strong. Um, but then he got to the hospital and he was in ICU, and that was like really scary because for her, she okay, how do I explain this? My mom and my sister are very emotional. Like when it comes to things, me and my dad are very like we push it out at all costs. So when it came down to it, he was like being strong, but like he was like lethargic, couldn't talk, couldn't really like react in any way whatsoever. And then my mom was trying to be strong, but she was obviously like the love of her life is like in a hospital bed, can't even like look at us. Like his eyes are like rolling back in the back of his head. And then my sister had just was about to start school and she was like in cheer and all these other activities. And I remember like the first 3 days, she like refused to see him. Like she would not go into the hospital. Like she would not look at him like anything. Like she wouldn't even like go near it or talk about it.
Well, Laney,
Mhm.
can you tell us why? What was the fear?
He's just also my best friend, and I knew that if I saw him, I would have to deal with all these feelings, and I was already going through so much at the time in my own life. And I knew my mom was like losing it, and then I knew Bridgette was trying to be strong, you could tell. And so I thought the more I avoided it, the better I would be. But that kind of just made it all worse. But yeah.
So
But-
did you think when you say the better you would be, was there like a fear of really feeling it and the this whatever emotions would come? You didn't tell me what was it?
I was terrified for him, and I did not know if I was going to be able to like go on throughout my life without my dad, so I was really scared. And I knew that the second I saw him, I wasn't going to be able to just like pull it all together. And I knew it was going to hit me hard. And then it did, but yeah.
It's interesting what you said, pull it all together. I think there's some crazy thing in our culture that we have to keep it together and not lose it, which is stupid, really.
Yeah.
You're about you you have a literal fear that your dad was going to be gone,
yeah.
and we have to keep it together.
Yeah.
It's goofy, isn't it? A little.
Mhm.
Yeah. Keep going on.
So like I think it was like the third night I picked her up from cheer and we were on our way and she thought we were going home. And she got in the truck because I was driving my mom's truck at the time. And she got in the truck and I was like, we're gonna go see dad. And she was like, what? And I was like, you're coming? Like this could be your last time seeing him. So you get to see him. And I can't even remember like what I said. Like I like completely like blacked out because I had like prepared a whole speech to tell her in the truck. And I just like went on because the thing is like our dad's like a rock. Like oh he keeps the calm all the time of the family. Like when things get heightened, because obviously he's the only guy. We're girls, like our emotions get crazy, and he like keeps us calm when we get
Normal
with each
Okay.
other. Yeah. So it just I remember in the car ride just talking to her and telling her that it was gonna be okay. Cause like one thing that like our family always like has believed in is like everything happens for a reason. Like what's meant to be will be. So I told her, I was like, it'll be okay if that's how it's supposed to be. But right now, dad needs you by his side and we need you. Cause I like the days leading up to that, like I'd cried all day, every day, whatever. But the second I like saw her, we had like our heart to heart in the truck on our way to the hospital. And it was probably like what, 35-minute-ish drive. And we just talked. And I think that was like the last time I cried while he was in the hospital because it just like there's like a sense of relief of like knowing we were all together. But like, because we're all going through it. But like, I don't want to see her hurt any more than like anyone else. I don't know. It's like rough, but
That's a good problem.
yeah, sometimes.
You know, that you care about each other enough to want to protect each other.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely scary.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And especially she started what, 7th grade?
7th grade.
She started 7th grade that like week, I think.
It was that week, yeah.
Because like my mom had to go take her to school because my mom didn't even want to leave the hospital whatsoever. So there was like a night where I was alone with my dad. And like I stayed the night there. And it was just so like he doesn't even remember it because he was like so out of it. But like it was crazy. Like we were like making jokes about like McDonald's and like all these things and he has no like recollection. But like that's just so like me and him. Like that's just how we are. We don't like ever accept the fact that anything bad's happening. So we just avoid it. And like I feel like when I spent those nights, although I was terrified, I knew it was gonna be okay because we had each other. Because I didn't want to face the fact that I could lose my dad.
Perfect time because my dogs bark.
Oh, gain my composure.
You don't have to have composure either. Just let it out. There's no rules here. This is your story.
But yeah, I don't know. Basically, he's just my best friend. And I like literally don't know what I would do without him. Like ever. Because like I've said a million times, we're the exact same person. So like when it comes to like with family dinners, we literally was sitting at the table, just like joking. We don't even have to say a word. We can just like look at each other and we like know exactly what the other is thinking. Like, I don't know. It's hard, but we're here. We're alive.
Yeah. He's alive.
He's alive. That's all that matters.
All right. So now, what happened after that? Or what's the next phase of
So
grasping this? And
yeah, after that, like things are like hard because he got out of the hospital and everyone's obviously asking questions. And because obviously I was starting college like or going back to college like that month. And I don't know if like my mom told you, but I'm in a sorority. But while he was like in the hospital, there was like everyone was like prepping to like rush and all this stuff, like buying their outfits. And I've always wanted to be in one because I just love like the girl group it like brings you. And I remember the night that I was with him alone, I was like, oh yeah, I don't think I'm gonna rush. And he was like, why? Like you've always wanted to. And I was like, oh, like no, like it's okay. Because all I wanted to do was be with him. I don't want to have some other thing that I had to go attend and be at and have to put on a face and all this stuff. And he was like, no, you're doing it. And I was like, well, okay. He's like, I think it'll be the best thing for you. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll do it. And then I did it. And it really has been because it brought me some of my best friends. And it definitely put girls in my life who don't make me put on the face and like are there for me and like talk to me about those things. And when I see them, like whenever I do, they're always like, oh, like how's your dad? Like how are you? Like they genuinely care, which I feel like I'm glad he pushed me to do because had it not been for him telling me to do it, I would have never because I was like, I'd want to be with him.
did you feel like it was a selfish thing at the time based
Yeah.
on what he was going through? You're like, I can't do that because that's
Yeah, I
putting
didn't
me
want to
above
do
him.
anything for like to try and take my time away from him. Like I don't want to be like, oh well, I have to go do this. Like also like with work, I was like, well, do I quit my job? Like, do I even go back to college? Like I was asking myself all these questions because I was like, I don't want him to think that I'm just like leaving. But he always was like, don't let my disease hold you back. Like, don't let what I have control your life, which is very selfless of him. But that him saying that definitely doesn't
Really?
make it any easier. But then he got better. And then I have like I joined my sorority, whatever, and we had like this gala thing. And I remember it like vividly because he was like still super weak and like had no strength, but we have like this gala and he like dressed up for it and everything. And we like walked in and there's like a cocktail hour for the first hour and there's like really no seats. And so I remember standing there and he had to like go sit in the truck. And I was like, because all I wanted was him to be comfortable. Like it didn't hurt my feelings whatsoever. But then my mom went out to check on him. Ugh. And she came back in and was like, talking to me, and she was like, I was like, oh, how's dad? And she's like, it's okay. He just feels like he's failing you.
Because he was sick?
Mm-hmm.
Your dad's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, I know. So for him to like even feel that way,
Because he does not have feelings.
no.
He does not have feelings?
He doesn't show them at all.
He doesn't show his feelings.
No.
Me and him both are like brick wall.
I had not met your dad until I interviewed your mom and dad. And he is a freaking crack up.
Yeah.
And I totally identify with this sense of humor because I would do the exact same thing. I would make totally uncool, uncouth, inappropriate jokes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, we can cry about it or we can act like a 12-year-old boy about it.
Yeah. Exactly. That's literally like me and him make jokes all the time. Like every time like my wedding comes up, he's always like, oh, well, even if I make it, like as a joke, like he'll be like, oh, well, hopefully like this one isn't my last year.
And yeah, it's morbid, but it's funny.
It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and him cope the same way because he knows like whenever I get worried or stressed about it, he makes a joke and it's like, okay, I'm fine. Like it's so easily like he just can flip the situation so well. But he just is so strong and like he's fought every day since. And I feel like even in that moment when he was like, oh, I feel like a failure, like it like hurt my heart that he even felt that way because he is so strong and he didn't even have to come because he felt so weak, but like he fought to come and wanted to, which I told him, I was like, Dad, like it's really okay. Like I promise it's not the end of the world. Like I want you to be comfortable. And he still came. Like he still, even when the disease is like at its worst, he still puts us first always, which is so amazing. But so like crazy. I'm like, how can you even like he doesn't even think about himself like when it comes to it. Like he literally only thinks about everyone else. And it's just like he's so selfless. Which like we always make jokes that he's like selfish, which is funny, but like obviously he's not. But I don't know. He'll use obviously his like cancer card to like get out of like
Dishes
or like picking up food. But he'll never
Smart man.
Yeah, he'll never use it against us when it comes to any of our.
He'll never use it like actually for himself.
Yeah, even if he is.
Well, you guys sounds like you give him energy and just because you're there and loving on you guys, it's probably keeping him healthier than he would be otherwise.
Yeah. He definitely is a fighter, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And a clown. He's a clown fighter.
Oh yeah. All the time.
So Laney, tell me how were your friend groups during all this time? Did you find out who your real friends were?
Definitely did, yes. Well, like when it first was all starting to happen, like the day they told me, I got back from cheer and I was having a really hard time at cheer. There was a bunch of things happening there and my mental health was just not it. And I was
Can
about
I
to
stop you for a minute? When you say things happening in cheer, do you mean drama? Is
like
that a
girls
good guess?
coaches being mean, like it was just not a good time.
There's no drama in cheerleading. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? Yeah.
For real.
And So I was just about to start middle school too. So I was just super stressed. And then my parents like to use the word mass. And at the time, I didn't know like mass was a tumor. So they would like be talking about normal things. And she knew about it, but she was in Dixie in college.
6 hours away.
Yeah. So I had no idea. And my parents were talking to me one night when I got back from cheer. And they were like, yeah, dad has mass on his pancreas and it spread to his liver. And they were kind of like explaining to me that. And then I was like, oh, okay, like that's no big deal. Like, I'm sorry you're in pain. Like, I didn't really like feel anything.
Oh, wait.
I was like, oh, that sucks for you. Like, why are you telling me
Poor
this?
thing.
And then my mom slipped up and she was like, yeah, but the tumor's not growing that fast. And then that's when my heart dropped and everything just felt like it shattered. Like that was like my life like crushed at that moment. Like the second I heard the word tumor, I knew like, oh, this isn't a joke. So then the rest of the night I went back to my room. I cried. That was the first time that I saw my dad cry. He was like, I'm a fighter, you know me, like he's like, I'm gonna get through this, like it's really not gonna be that bad. And then he made like a promise to me that he would always keep fighting no matter what. And then he was like crying, and then it was just like the first time I've like actually seen my dad like really cry because he has no emotion.
He doesn't cry.
It's understood.
Yeah. Then life goes on, and then it was really hard. Life goes on, and at that time we were trying to keep it like low because we didn't know really how bad it was. So I wasn't like really telling anyone. Well, I wasn't supposed to be telling anyone, but I was telling everybody.
How old were you? Like what?
I was end of 6th grade.
So like 9?
Yeah. 10, 11. Yeah. And then it's summertime. We go through the summer and it's time to start 7th grade. And I am still cheering. And again, my mental health just not very good. I was starting to get like a little like bullied throughout the summer. So I just wasn't feeling like myself. And then there was one night that I was gone at my friend's house, having the time of my life. Like it was the best party ever. And they've been our close friends for like a while. Like we've known them like our whole lives. And I was at her house and my mom like calls and she's like, hey, like dad's in the hospital. Like he's fine for now. He just like, we don't know what's wrong, but we think it has something to do with his tumor or something. We're going to figure it out. So I'm kind of like stressing. And then Bridgette comes to pick me up and she like pulls up and she like rolls down the window. And I was like, hey, and she's like, hi. She was like, so dad's in the hospital as you heard. And I was like, I did hear that. And then she was like, I just want to warn you, like he doesn't look himself. And I was like, Bridgette, I don't think I'm ready to see him. Like, I don't want to see him like that. Like, it's going to hit me hard. And I don't know if I can go through that with everything that I'm already going through. And then she called my mom and she was like, hey, like, can Laney sleep over at Hayden's? Like, she just needs more time before she can see dad. And then I don't know how, but my mom let me sleep over that night.
Yeah, I think we were all just scared.
Yeah. Bridgette drove away and I turned and I just fell. And the girl there, her name's Hayden, best person in the whole entire world. And she just like held me, and all I remember is I just said, like, he's in the hospital. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And she just held me there and she like let me cry. I'm pretty sure I like ruined her freaking t-shirt with all my tears. But she was just there for me. And that's like when I realized I was like, yeah, they're real friends. Like I'm gonna have them forever. And then I slept over that night. And then the next day I went school shopping with my cheer coach and his husband because I was really close with them. And
I remember.
yeah, my mom was obviously at the hospital, so she couldn't really like
Say no to the money.
yeah. She like had to keep all her money like close, right? Just in case something like super, super horrible, like what happened. And
So much money.
then
I was so jealous.
I know they took me to the mall and I'd say, oh, this is cute. And I'd put it down. They'd pick it up and go buy it behind my back. And they like surprised me with a bunch of stuff the other day. They made it like the best day ever. Like I'm so thankful for them. I love them so much. And so then I was like, okay, kind of like excited for school. But I was like, I know people are going to ask me questions because a lot of people did know me. And I don't know, it was crazy. So then I go to cheer that night. And then I have a panic attack because of something. I can't remember. I don't think it was my dad, but I think it was just everything piling on. Because my mom called them that night and was like, hey, like, our Matt is in the hospital. Like, he's not doing good. So, like, if you can be, like, easy on Laney, like, that'd be great. And then they weren't, but it's okay. And it was, like, the worst practice of my life. And I'm just so ready to go home. And I was like, I'm going to get ready for school because I had school the next week or whatever it was.
Like 2 days later?
2 days later, yeah. And she picked me up. And that's when I got in the truck. And she was like, it like literally felt like I was being like held captive. She was like not going to let me go home. Like we were going to go see dad. She was like, you don't get a choice. You're going to see him. And then she warned me again. She was like, he doesn't look himself. He doesn't. Like, he's yellow, his eyes are all the way in the back of his head, and he's, like, unconscious.
He won't talk.
He won't talk. Like, he probably won't even, like, notice you're there because he's so out of it. Yeah. But you being there will make everything better.
And you get to say your goodbye.
Yeah. That was, like, we're like, okay, we're saying our goodbyes. And
now that's heavy. At
I was,
what, 12, 13 years old?
She was like 11 or 10.
I was 12.
You were about to turn 12.
I was about to turn 12. And I remember we're walking through the hospital. Bridgette's like already a pro at this. And she's like knows where she's going. And we pass this gift shop.
The nurses. I'm like,
yeah, she's like, hey, back again. And I'm pretty sure we had food or something. I can't remember. But
probably.
Like In-N-Out or something stupid. And we're just walking through.
In-N-Out is not stupid, I just have to say.
Oh, it is so good. Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Like, I was like,
she used to hate it.
Yeah.
Sorry, just have to point that out. And now she loves it.
Anyways, so we're walking through and I'm just like thinking about like, what am I going to say to my dad? Like, there's no way I can get everything I want to say out. Like, if I'm going to have to say goodbye to him. And I'm just like thinking all this stuff. And she's just like taking me down like throughout like all the hallways, and we get like past the gift shop. You see the kitchen, the gift shop, and then you turn and you're in those big huge elevators, and then you go up the elevators. And then I was like, we're going like way higher than I thought, right? And it's like a big sign, it's just like ICU, and I was like, oh, that's funny, like
in
ICU
big red letters.
Yeah. And it was all just getting really real. Like the second I stepped through those ICU doors, it just felt like a wave like hit me. I was like, hello, reality. And my mom comes out and she's like, oh, good, you're here. And then she like opens the door. Bridgette walks in. I walk in and I look at like, I can't remember if it was like my uncle, somebody.
Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley. And I like see everybody in the room. Then I turn and I see him. And he's like, it's so vivid in my mind. He's like yellow, his eyes are like wide, and he's like rolled back into his head.
Like sunken
he's got
in.
All these
like it looks like a skeleton.
Yeah, like he was like so like, oh my, it was so scary. Like low key my nightmares. And he had like all these machines attached to him, and it was like
scabs everywhere
and like rashes, and he just looked like he was already gone. Like I walked in and I was like, is it too late? Like I shouldn't, like, and then I'm getting all these like shameful thoughts, and it's like I shouldn't have stayed home, I should have been here. And everyone's just acting normal, and Bridgette goes and sits down on her little designated chair that she had. I set myself up on the window, and I'm not planning on being there for like a long time, but I just like couldn't. I like looked at him and I started crying, obviously. And I just like, there was a part of me that like couldn't stop looking at him. Like I was like frozen, but like I needed to, like, it felt like I needed to like run away and run as far as I could and never come back, which I think that was kind of like the fight or flight in me or something.
Laney was flighting.
Yeah. And it was just the scariest moment. Like I've never seen my dad so sick before, because he's always been like a pretty like buff dude. That was creepy. Buff dude, but so like,
And then he's like this big.
yeah. And it was just freaky and it scared the crap out of me.
Well, I know. I remember seeing the pictures, and
Mhm.
I didn't even know him
Yeah.
before, and so it was alarming. So I can imagine, this is your healthy, funny, buff dad, as you say.
Yeah.
Like he used to
Wasting
do
away.
like pull-ups with us
Like
on his
he'd,
arm.
yeah, he'd carry me on his arms all the time.
That's a dad thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like
We
his
couldn't even
arms are
hug
like
him.
the same size as mine, and I was like, am I
They're
gonna have to pull
smaller.
you up?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it was so scary. And then I had my first day of school, and I felt so bad because my mom was like, I'm gonna drop you off, and like I don't care, like you take your own pictures, I'm gonna drop you off and I have to go to the hospital. And like obviously, like, okay, this is gonna sound like bad, but like I like didn't like feel like I was there for anyone. Like I didn't feel like anybody like acknowledged me, and like I just felt so alone. And I was like, I need to be alone though, because my family needs to be there for my dad. Like, obviously, they can't be there for me. We're all going through the same thing. And so she like drops me off, takes a couple photos, and then she goes to the hospital. And I find that friend Hayden again, and she kind of like takes me throughout the school. And it was a okay first day. But there was times that I was thinking about him and I was like, had to like snap out of it. And then I can't remember who picked me up or anything. I think it was grandma,
I think it was grandma.
and took me straight to the hospital after school. And I went into the room again. He looked the same. And I would set up my little window spot. And then whenever I needed to take a break from seeing him like that and hearing all these doctors just saying like, oh, he's gonna die, like you need to say your goodbye, do you have your will in order, do you know who's gonna like take all this money? And it was just so much like insurance or whatever the heck. So whenever I needed a break from that, I'd go down to the gift shop and buy these little tiny glass animals. I have like 50 of them now, and I'd like set them up on my little windowsill, go buy more. They were like $2 a thing. But that's like the main thing I like remember from the hospital. Like those are my little like good luck charms, I guess. But they're very cute.
Well, it sounds like it worked because he's still doing okay, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because this
Yeah.
is something he gets to keep for the rest of his life, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
like they I think your mom and dad said that he would die with it, not from it.
Yes.
If-
That's like our motto. Yeah.
yeah, die with it, not from it.
There's like complications again. But yeah, he'll die with it, not from it. So it'll be with him forever.
Yeah.
But
Or as he'd like to say, 10 more years.
or 2 more days.
2 more days.
Oh, does he give random end
Yeah.
dates?
He'll be like,
he
oh,
said
if I wake
after-
up tomorrow, we'll
Yeah.
never know.
He said after I have my first kid, then he's just gonna give up. I was like, Dad, you can't say that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, I'll never make it to Bridget's wedding. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, thanks, Dad.
So you're feeling the pressure now. It's like, oh, I gotta do that fast.
I know that's also like the hard part. Like when he did get diagnosed, it was like,
I gotta get married.
I was like, she's gonna graduate. I want my kids to meet him. I want my husband to meet him. Like I want all these people to meet him. Like, what do I do? Like, because I don't want
Make
my
him stay.
dad. Yeah.
So, yeah, stick around, dude.
Can't leave. You realize you have to like walk me down the aisle.
Yeah.
Like when they told us like in the hospital room, they were like, oh, like say your goodbyes. I was like heartbroken. Like I remember like thinking, because I would just like, because I would drive like 40 minutes to go pick her up because the hospital's in Orem. So we had to drive like all the way down there, and like I'd have to go
Orem
to
to
like Draper
Draper.
or like Sandy or whatever. So like on those drives, all I would do is like think. Like every time, like at now when I go on those drives, like it kind of like brings back like stress. Like I get like little like stress rashes like when I drive that, because it's just like it brings back such like not good memories.
It's a little PTSD,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Yeah. So it's like, because then I'm like, well, who's gonna walk me down the aisle? Like, do I have my uncle and my grandpa? Like, who else? Like,
You're like, not those losers. You want your dad to do
yeah.
it.
I'm like, what do I even do? It's just, it's such crazy thing that we even have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So how many years are we out since? Are we like 3 years now, or is it 2?
7th grade to 2
21,
years.
wait, 21, 22, 23, 24, 3.
3 years, okay.
I'm in 9th grade.
This will be the 3rd year. Yeah.
And he's okay, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's perfectly fine, he says.
Yeah.
He's like, stop worrying about me. I'm perfectly fine. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong.
What cancer?
Until all of a sudden,
yeah.
yeah. And then he needs to get out of something. He's like, I have cancer.
And then he pulls out his tattoo and he's like,
Yeah. I'm like, okay, grow up, bro.
No, he's smart. No, he's milking this. I would too.
Yeah, he's so dumb. I'm like, dude, get a grip.
yeah.
Well, you guys sound like you guys won the parent lottery for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we definitely did.
Emotional mom, stubborn brick wall dad.
Sarcastic dad that doesn't take anything serious in
good
life
mix.
ever.
No, that's a superpower.
It
Mhm.
is. It's crazy. We definitely are our mom and dad.
Yeah.
She's my mom. I'm my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's how we mesh.
All right. So in maybe wrapping up, I feel like there's so many more things we can say, but what haven't I asked you that you want to share more about, like maybe counsel for other people that might be, other kids your age that might be struggling with something like this, or the potential loss of a parent or a friend, or have any thoughts for them?
Well, as someone who like me personally, I don't express my emotions very well, like at all.
Who
Like,
says?
oh my dad.
Your dad says?
Oh, everyone.
They don't.
I like don't
Well,
express emotions.
Well, that's a funny thing. They don't.
Like I just
Is there a certain way to do it?
I mean,
She
I
just
guess not.
shuts down.
I just like shut down everything. Like, especially when he got diagnosed, I just like it was like, okay.
It was like she was
Well,
eating.
I don't know. I don't want to like argue with you about how you deal with it, but everyone does it differently.
Yeah,
There's a way, and you
true.
quote unquote shutting down. Do you find it unhealthy, or is it hurting you?
Sometimes it backfires because then I like bottle it all up, and then it's like an explosion, and then it's like, whoa.
That also
Like-
sounds normal.
Yeah, like I feel like what I've done like help myself at least. Like I've not been like big journal, like I've never really like been a journal person, but I feel like when I feel like I'm at my like breaking point again, like I'll like write everything I'm feeling, especially with the disease and everything. It's like, okay, well, I need to like, because I feel like still to this day I haven't really accepted the fact that he even has cancer. Because it's like I don't want to have to accept the fact that like that disease could kill him at some point.
What does accepting it look like to you?
Like acknowledging that he even has it.
But
Like,
you
I
do
feel like-
but you do all the time.
I mean, that is true. Yeah, I guess.
But like letting it take a toll on you.
yeah,
like-
I like don't let it affect my anything. Like I don't like cry about it often, or like
Mhm.
me and my dad, we just like joke about it. Is the way we cope.
Yeah,
And
so
like
that's why you do it. So
True.
not crying about it isn't necessarily a problem, just how you do it, and you can do it your way.
that is very true.
Mhm.
I guess
So
I like found my ways,
yeah,
but me and her are very different in the ways we cope. That's for sure.
Laney, do you feel like you're not handling it, or you're not? Do you feel like you're getting your head around it in a healthy way, or
In a healthy way, I would say no. Just kidding. But
you
I
would, or
felt-
people around you say no, or do you think that?
I mean, I think I could like talk about it more or like express it more, because like obviously like whenever I talk about it, I'm like really good at just like speaking, but then today like it like brought back all the memories, and it was just like kind of like, whoa, like that actually happened. Like I almost lost my dad. But after all that happened, I told my mom I needed to see a therapist. So therapy's been helping a lot, but I didn't really talk about him much in therapy when I started. So it's just like
You avoid it.
I do avoid it very much.
Hmm.
But my notes would say otherwise on my phone.
Sounds like you two are doing it just as you should.
We definitely
Mhm.
write down our emotions instead of
Oh, yeah.
talking to people about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we both write it down to like get it out almost, like so that way we're like, because if it's always in our head, we just constantly overthink and
Yeah, journaling and writing about it, that's definitely, it does get it out of your head.
yeah, then we like write it down and then we close the book or whatever and then move it, and then it's like, okay, now we don't have to think about it until the next time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it's a hard thing to have to like actually figure out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I don't know.
But we
Yeah, you're here
never thought we would,
No.
but we did.
and your family's probably stronger and tighter and better.
Oh yeah,
The relationships are like,
I don't think
so
our family's
close
been
now.
this close
ever.
not that because we've always been super close.
Mm-hmm.
But like ever since that moment, I feel like we literally like are tied to the hip now.
Yeah.
Like I like can't go a day without like seeing my family.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I was like, oh, I'm gonna move away, all this.
Nope.
And then like there's no way. Like not
Mhm.
seeing my dad, not seeing my mom or my sister, like I think that would actually kill me.
Yeah.
Cause like you never know when the last day is for like anyone. Like even though he has a disease, like even on like a car ride, like you could get in a crash. Like you never know when your last day is, so you don't want to like you need to take advantage of the time you have left with the people you love.
There is a guy in my neighborhood who's just a couple years older than me, and last year about this time he got diagnosed with kidney cancer, I believe, and he passed away 3-4 months ago, within a year.
Yeah, it's
And he would always say, because there was another guy in the neighborhood who just one day had a heart attack, gone. So this friend of mine was saying, hey, at least I had time to
Yeah.
spend. I mean, I knew I was going. I
yeah.
had time to spend with family. This guy just gone in a second.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you don't, and your perspective now, because you came so close to losing him. So
Yeah.
his stock price has gone up a lot.
Yeah.
right?
I feel like my
Like a wake-up
perspective on
call.
life has changed extremely since he got diagnosed, because like even like if I'm like late to work, I'm like, okay, well, no one's like, if I'm 2 minutes late, it's not the end of the world. Like I'm not gonna die. Like I'd much rather have the 2 extra minutes with my family talking than the 2 minutes I was late to work, or like just like silly stuff like that. Like I don't take like the more, what's it called? I don't even know the right word. Like the more, not material things. But like school is important, all that stuff is important. But like at the end of the day, like to me personally, like my family and like spending that time with them is the most important thing to me in the entire world. Like I will never give up anything if I could be with them.
Because that's what
And-
matters at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
Ladies, thank you so much for sharing your perspective from the kids' view, the kids' point of view. Yeah, because it's like you say, a lot of focus is put on the patient
Yeah.
and not the people around them that are also being crushed every day. Obviously, you're not going through the same physical things, but that fear
Like
that you had of
seeing my-
loss was probably comparable to his fear of having to leave you guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1000%.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Laney and Bridgette, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. I appreciate it. It's been fun talking with you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay. Tell your mom hi, or is she around? Is she
Um,
lingering?
I
Not
think she's
around.
upstairs. Yeah.
That's fine. I'll chat with her later, but
Okay,
thank you
perfect.
again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you again for listening to The Parish the Thought Show. We know you have many podcast options and appreciate that you have chosen us. If you love what you hear, please give us a rating on whatever platform you find us. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. If you hate what you hear, only tell us.